Hello everyone. My name is Pauline deJong, and I'm the Executive Director of the Office of the Regulator of Oil and Gas Operations, which we usually just call OROGO. I want to thank the organizers of the Geoscience Symposium for coming up with a creative way to allow us to share information with each other in the absence of the Geoscience Forum this year. As I think is the case for most of us, COVID-19 and the resulting public health measures have pushed me to become more comfortable with online meetings and now with virtual presentations. Recording myself speaking to a presentation is a new experience for me, so I hope that what I say is clear and encourage you to get in touch with us if there's anything you'd like to learn more about. That said, I'm pleased to provide an update on OROGO's activities over the past year. OROGO's work is primarily carried out under the Oil and Gas Operations Act, or OGOA, and to a lesser extent the Petroleum Resources Act, or PRA. It may not be obvious that we also have a role under the Mackenzie Valley Resource Management Act. You can find additional information on that role and preliminary screening on our website. The Oil and Gas Operations Act sets out our purpose, primarily to protect human safety, the environment, and to conserve oil and gas resources in the sense of making sure they're not wasted. The amendment to OGOA, which came into force in July 2020, did not change our core mandate. The regulator supported by OROGO is designated by the Commissioner and Executive Council under Section 121 of OGOA. Since last year's Geoscience Forum, we've had a change in the regulator. On August 2nd, 2020, I was designated as the regulator under Section 121. In the past year, we've also had changes to two other key positions under OGOA. Mike Martin, Senior Technical Advisor, was appointed as Chief Safety Officer on June 26, 2020, and Peter Lenny Miskeld, Senior Advisor on Policy and Legislation, was appointed as Chief Conservation Officer on August 2nd, 2020. This slide summarizes our strategic plan, which was approved in 2016. It sets out our mission as an organization, which is to regulate oil and gas activities to keep people safe and protect the environment where we live and work. We have 4 strategic objectives under the plan, which provides the lens through which we order and prioritize our work. So for the rest of the presentation, I'll be briefly explaining some of the work that we've been doing to meet these objectives and to move towards our vision of being a respected and effective regulator grounded in the values of Northerners. One of the tools available to OROGO is issuing formal guidelines and interpretation notes. We do this to meet our objective of enhancing certainty and predictability in our work and promoting transparency about how we regulate. Over the past year, OROGO has been busy developing new guidelines to provide more clarity to operators and applicants on our regulatory requirements and to help make the process more efficient. The regulator issued 2 guidelines in July 2020 in response to amendments to the Oil and Gas Operations Act. The first is Public Access to Information Guidelines. These guidelines provide information on whether and how information submitted to OROGO for the purposes of OGOA and its regulations is made publicly available. The second is Public Hearing Guidelines, and these guidelines provide guidance on when and how public hearings will be held by OROGO for the purposes of OGOA. In June 2020, the regulator also issued revised document submission guidelines, which remove the requirement for the submission of paper copies of documents to OROGO. These guidelines bring the total number of guidelines issued since devolution to 7. Looking ahead, OROGO is also in the development phase for 3 new guidelines. By the time this presentation is aired, the public engagement and consultation period for the applications for well suspension or abandonment guidelines will have closed, and we will be reviewing the responses received and making any required changes to the document. The purpose of this guideline is to clarify the required contents, for applications, for operations authorizations and well approvals, for well suspension and abandonment activities. It's also to clarify the process for going through making an application, including pre-application meetings and appropriate timeframes. There are also 2 guidelines currently available for public review and comment. The first is the Contingency Plan Guidelines and Interpretation Notes, which clarify the required contents of contingency plans submitted to the regulator and ensure that operators understand the purpose and scope of those contingency plans. And the review period for that guideline closes at the end of November. The second is the Proof of Financial Responsibility Guidelines and Interpretation Notes. These guidelines are available for review until the middle of January and help to clarify the regulator's methodology for assessing the amount of proof of financial responsibility required for oil and gas operations, how proof of financial responsibility is assessed for different phases of oil and gas operations, and the format and information that should be included in irrevocable letters of credits used to post proof of financial responsibility with the regulator. So for both of the guidelines that are currently available for review, information is available on Arogo's website, so I would encourage you to take a look and to provide your feedback. I also want to mention that Arogo continues to publish its annual report, and that the 2019-2020 annual report is also available on our website. Turning to the objective of being more accessible, Arogo's Information Office continues to enhance the accessibility of historical well and seismic program information to the public. You'll see some statistics here on the slide about the uptake that we've had in terms of those files. All the well history files have been available for electronic download from Arogo for several years now as zipped files with all of the documents bundled together into one file. This year we have unbundled the files so that clients can browse through and select the individual files within the well history folders rather than having to download the entire bundle. We're currently working on making the seismic program files available in the same way. The Information Office is also the contact point for approvals for core sampling requests. In 2019-2020, we received 3 core sampling requests for core from a total of 12 wells. Arogo is currently working with the Geological Survey of Canada to promote continued access to core samples despite COVID-19 restrictions at the core facility in Calgary. Overall, Arogo has responded to nearly 100 public inquiries in the past year, and we are meeting our service standard, which is responding to inquiries within 24 hours in over 95% of cases. The amendments to OGOA that came into effect in July 2020 significantly changed the approach to confidentiality of information provided to the regulator. The default position is now that all information is public. Those providing the information can request that it be kept confidential for specific reasons that are set out in the Act, and the regulator decides whether the information will be kept confidential. In some cases, information may also be kept confidential under the Access to Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Arogo's improved public registry is one of the ways we are sharing information about oil and gas activities with the public. We are posting applications, information requests and responses, decisions, reports, and other related documents on the public registry. In order to keep the public registry easy to use, we are not posting every document we receive or produce. However, you can still access this information by contacting the Information Office. As we gain experience with the registry and learn more about the types of documents the public is interested in, we may adjust what we are posting there. So if you have any suggestions about documents that should be posted on the registry, please let us know. Our public registry was developed in partnership with the Land and Water Boards of the Mackenzie Valley. It uses the same platform and the look and feel is similar. Our hope is that this approach will make our public registry easy to use and will help the public recognize and navigate the full scope of regulation for a particular project. I want to take this opportunity to thank Ryan Fiquette of the Wakashi Land and Water Board and his staff for the time and effort they put into supporting this project. Moving on to compliance and inspections. The 2020 winter work season saw less activity than 2019, but still steady progress towards meeting the requirements of the well suspension and abandonment guidelines and interpretation notes. A key part of Orogo's regulatory compliance responsibilities is conducting regular on-site inspections of approved activities with a focus on safety and protection of the environment. In 2019-2020, Orogo conducted 5 on-site inspections, which encompassed 15 suspended well sites and a shut-in production facility with associated gathering pipelines from the well sites. Orogo's compliance team also reviews the inspection of suspended wells carried out by operators and follows up on any concerns. Operators are also required to submit reports associated with their activities. Operations reports relate to the particular activity conducted. Annual reports address environmental protection and safety requirements. All of these reports are reviewed by the compliance team and any concerns are followed up on. Orogo expects that activities to comply with the requirements of the well suspension and abandonment guidelines and interpretation notes and with the oil and gas drilling and production regulations will continue this winter with at least 3 operators in the field in the Satu and deJong regions. This slide shows the increase in the number of suspended wells that have been brought into compliance with the implementation of the well suspension and abandonment guidelines, which were issued in 2017. As you can see, the number of compliant suspended wells, which is in blue, is increasing, while the number of non-compliant suspended wells, which is in red, is decreasing, and the total number of suspended wells is also decreasing as wells are safely permanently plugged, cut, and capped. We anticipate that the work scheduled for the 2021 winter season will address the majority of the remaining non-compliant wells. The majority of the compliant suspended wells are scheduled for abandonment by January 31st, 2023, unless they are brought back into production in the meantime. In order to manage the volume of applications expected, operators of these wells must provide a plan for their activities to Orogo by January 31st, 2021. During the 2020 work season, operators reported 4 incidents and 2 near misses to Orogo. As soon as possible following the reporting of an incident, Orogo posts incident status reports on our public registry. These summary reports are updated as new information becomes available. Orogo responded to these incidents and near misses both administratively and on site. Engagement with the public, operators, Indigenous governments, and other regulators continues to be an important part of our work. You'll find us at conferences and trade shows, even if COVID has changed how we can participate, including the Arctic Oil and Gas Symposium and, of course, the Geoscience Symposium. We've also found the GNWT's READY initiative to be an excellent opportunity to reach the public and are hopeful that future sessions will be held. Our Well Watch program has also provided an opportunity for us to work with individuals and organizations that are out using the land for non-oil and gas purposes. Orogo is an active member of the NWT Board Forum. And as to engagement with regulators outside of the NWT, we are a member of the Western Regulators Forum, which includes the oil and gas regulators of British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan, as well as our colleagues at the Canada Energy Regulator. Like many Canadian oil and gas regulators, we've also become an international affiliate member of the Interstate Oil and Gas Compact Commission, or IOGCC, which allows us to further build our capacity and benefit from the best practices of a host of U.S. jurisdictions. This concludes our presentation, and normally it would be the opportunity for you to ask questions. Instead, I strongly encourage you to contact us directly if you have any questions about our presentation or any of our activities. We value the opportunity to connect with you and want to see that continue, no matter the circumstances. You can call us, email us, or just come by our office on the 4th floor of the Northwest Tower in Yellowknife. We'd be happy to see you. Of course, you can always check out our website at www.orogo.gov.nt.ca. We also hope that you'll follow us on Twitter, where we highlight new initiatives and opportunities to engage, including on new guidelines. Thank you very much, and bye for now.